Welcome to Ryan's Leadership Lessons podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stemen, and it's been a few months since I've released a podcast dedicated to Ryan's Leadership Lessons Substack and the newsletter that's out there. So I'm happy to be back. I've taken a little bit of a break from writing and podcasting to record this episode. So I'm looking forward to it. It's nice to be back in the recording booth, so to speak, in my office. But just wanted to talk about being accountable to your team. So one of the best things about being a leader is the ability to be accountable to not only the management team, but maybe your team that directly reports to you. And your team is going to feed off of how you deal with stress, how you deal with customers that are upset, how you deal with change. Every business is going to go through change of some kind. Leadership changes, markets change. Right now, you could have tariff changes to your business that's upending your business. So it's always changing. So you have to be accountable to your team. And what does that mean by being accountable? And it's not just taking responsibility for your own actions, but also the overall performance of your team and you as an individual. And that sort of old saying is the buck stops here, or the buck stops with me. And that means basically the problems stop with me. I don't push it off onto somebody else. I don't move it above me. We figure out the solution together and it stops right here. And some of the best managers that I've ever had, they're so solution focused. They're focused on figuring out a solution rather than pointing a finger at somebody. Because pointing the finger at somebody is never going to solve the problem, right? It's just going to heighten the problem. It's going to make the problem worse. The best thing that you can do is try to figure out where the pain points are and figure out a solution. If it's, software, if it's a process, if it's a person that's not trained well, or they're unsure of what to do, the majority of problems can be fixed with a team, right? Maybe it's a customer's upset about what they purchased. Maybe they purchased some sort of high-end software that's expensive and it's not working to their needs. Well, a big thing that you can do is first jump on a call with them and find out what the pain point is. And that sort of accountability starts with you, right? You have the ability to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. If you say, I'll get to that when I get to it, that problem's only going to be bigger because the person is going to be upset. The customer is going to be upset. So start by actioning what needs to be done right away, whether it's a phone call, whether that's a meeting. Maybe you have a team member that's lost or needs assistance or just feels like they weren't trained properly. Big part of that is helping them get up to speed, and so that you can be accountable to your team by helping them be the best versions of themselves and the best capability possible out there. So, one, importance of accountability. Buck stops with you. Supporting underperforming team members. Maybe it's training. But what I would do is first start with a root cause analysis, understand the underlying issues affecting the performance, the lack of skills, resources, motivation, and then provide constructive feedback to them, set clear goals for them, offer training and development, provide opportunities for skill enhancement through training programs, workshops, mentorships, and then mentor their progress. Start regular check-ins on their progress, adjust strategies as needed, and continue to offer support and encouragement. A lot of managing teams, what I've noticed over the years, and it could be a sports team, it could be a nonprofit team, it could be a team at work, it could be as simple as just a team that's been put together for a project. One of the things that seems to be missing from so many of these teams is the lack of encouragement and support. A lot of us are put together into unique dynamics Maybe somebody put us together as a team member, and there's no one to be kind of the cheerleader. There's no one to be the rah 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 person, or even to point out like you did a great job here. That's I was on a call with some folks internally at my business, and we were working on a project together, and someone said to another team member, "Hey, you did a great job on that call with the customer." The person lit up. They hadn't gotten that kind of feedback from somebody, and so it's amazing what you can do to change someone's day for the better. Um, and that is hugely important to encourage your team members who report directly to you and to give them constructive feedback to make them better. Um, Kind of the third area is leading by example. I've talked about this before in my podcast, is that we often don't think that we're being watched by our team members, but we are. I think as a leader, you're being watched even more. Is the boss leaving today? Is he leaving early? Is he slacking? Is he on looking at his phone in there instead of actually working? People are watching what you do, and so they're looking to you to lead by example. If you're out there working hard past 5 o'clock, or you're, you know, on call after call with customers, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to model their behavior off of you. Likewise, if you're working late all the time and you go to your team and you say, "Hey, we need to stop this because our processes are bad," they're going to model their behavior off of you. They want to make the best of the processes too, right? Um, you want to be consistent in how you apply the standards to yourself as you do your team. Have expectations that build trust, right? If you're a slacker, they're going to be slackers. If you're a stickler for the rules, they're going to learn that you're very rule focused. And then another thing that I think about is being empathetic, showing compassion for people. I think everyone's going through something in their lives. Maybe it's a sick parent or a sick child, or they have to help a neighbor, or they have to help a relative who's going through a bad situation. You don't know what people are going to bring in to your team, right? You don't know what they're going through. They could be going through an illness themselves. So show some compassion, some empathy, and understanding. Don't blow up at somebody because they made a mistake, right? People are going to make mistakes, and it's how they change, how they own up to the mistake. Is there a way to fix the issue and coach the person? And I think that empathy can really lead to better quality outcomes and better quality teams over a long period of time. I think a big part of accountability. I think things have changed over time from a leadership perspective when it comes to accountability. I think in my Substack newsletter about this topic, we talked about the captain always went down with the ship, and that sometimes happens today, but I think there's more of a level playing field when it comes to accountability. And I think there's a lot of blame shifting that happens, unfortunately. I think when there's problems, people blame it on an employee, or they blame it on a situation, or they blame it on a customer, or they blame it on tariffs. They blame it on an outcome, right? And I think that one thing we've done a lot better job of as leaders is trying to figure out how to stop blaming people, products, customers, solutions. Instead, let's figure out what the root cause is, and then figure out how to solution for success, right? I think that's why you've seen a lot more effective leaders stick around, and effective leaders are very solution focused. They're looking at how do we fix this problem through a solution, right? Rather than just say, okay, we're going to go down with the ship, or we're going to have to fire everybody. Let's find out a solution. Let's find a path forward. And as leaders, you have to find a path forward. I think that's the challenge in any leadership environment is finding a path forward. So as you go through your day, whether you're a manager, whether you're an executive, whether you're leading a team at a nonprofit, think about, one, how you come across as a leader, how you want to be held accountable as a leader, how you're going to hold your team accountable as a leader, how you're going to show empathy for your team, and how you're going to find root causes for your problems rather than shifting blame. I think if you do those things, just the little things, having empathy, being solution focused, looking at root causes rather than just shifting blame, I think you're going to have a very successful leadership experience. I think you're going to have successful teams. I think you're going to have successful outcomes. So think about that next time you're going through um, your team's journey and your leadership journey. Think about how you're coming across and how you want to be held accountable. Um, the more you do what I did as a leader of a team when I was managing a team, I said, all the problems that exist on the team are going to fall on my shoulders, good, bad, or otherwise. Whether I have an employee that doesn't know what to do or has made a mistake, I should own those mistakes, right? As the leader, it should come to me. I shouldn't blame it on a third party firm. I shouldn't blame it on, a different team. I shouldn't blame it on that employee by themselves. Um, all that ultimately was on my shoulders from day one, and that's how I felt as a leader. And I think that was effective leadership. That was being accountable. So being an accountable leader is just taking that responsibility and being the adult in the room and figuring out a path forward, having some empathy, having some compassion for your team, but having the ability to find a root cause and to take ownership of that. Um, but I thank you for your time, and I thank you for your dedication to sticking with my podcast. And I can be found on ryansleadershiplessons.substack.com. I started my Substack out. Um, Gosh, I think I've been on this Substack for 6 months now. I started out on my personal website, ryanstemen.com, which still exists and has a blog. And then I moved from the blog to LinkedIn newsletters. And now I've moved my newsletter Substack. So it's been a journey, and I think Substack is a great platform for newsletters. So if you'd like to sign up, you can sign up via email on my Substack page. There'll be a link in the show notes. And I look forward to interacting with you and fielding any questions you have on my newsletter, or if you want to reach out